One day, our hero Hibiki was meeting his friend Daichi in the street. Daichi asked him about the exam, and Hibiki replied that he didn't know, but anyone who studies will definitely get a high score. Daichi sighed and said, "What studying are you talking about? My life is over." Hibiki responded, "What are you worried about? The exam we took was just a practice exam, nothing more." They laughed and joked with each other in the street. They then went to a cafe, and Daichi asked Hibiki why he went for practice exams every Sunday. Hibiki explained that he was doing this to prepare for university, and it was the only thing on his mind lately. Hibiki asked Daichi what he would do after entering college. Daichi replied that he would keep himself busy with activities like going on trips and driving around the country, as he had just recently gotten his driver's license. Hibiki was surprised and said, "So, you're just going to waste your time, huh?" Daichi responded that work was only for failures. Daichi then told Hibiki he wanted to show him something important. He took out his phone and showed him a game called Nikaya. Hibiki was curious about the name, and Daichi explained that it meant the dead face and that the game allowed players to see their friend's face after they die. Hibiki was intrigued and Daichi registered him in the game. As they walked, they overheard some students talking about a student who had seen the dead face of someone the week before they died. Daichi said, "Look how popular this game is." The game's introduction appeared on Hibiki's phone, notifying him that he would be alerted when a new video was uploaded. Both Hibiki and Daichi were excited and waited for the new video. They then went to the metro station to head home. At the station, they saw their classmate Nita, who was in the C section at school. Hibiki didn't recognize her and asked Daichi about her. Daichi told him she was a student everyone wished they could be friends with. Hibiki remarked that she must have just come from the practice exam. At that moment, they received a message that a new video had been uploaded in the game. They eagerly opened it and saw a video of a metro accident where they were the ones who died in the end. Daichi became nervous and said, "This has to be a prank, right? After all, it's just a game for fun, not real." Then, an announcement was made at the station that the train would be delayed due to a problem. Daichi asked Hibiki if he wanted to leave the station, and just as Hibiki was about to respond, there was a strange tremor, and a train rushed toward the station at an incredible speed. The station and the train were destroyed, just like in the video, and they both died exactly as shown in the video. At that moment, the game told Hibiki that it could give him a second chance to live, offering him a choice between living or dying. Hibiki, of course, chose to live, and the system activated. He was revived. Looking around, Hibiki saw that the place was completely destroyed, with people dead everywhere. Just then, Daichi woke up too, confused about what was happening. He was bleeding heavily, and Hibiki quickly reassured him. They decided to call for help, but then they noticed someone else trying to get up from under the rubble. Suddenly, they were attacked by monsters that rose from the ground and began devouring the dead. They saw Nita alive as well, terrified as she watched the monsters devouring the bodies. Just as the monsters were about to attack Nita, a powerful monster appeared from Hibiki's phone and destroyed the creatures around her. Daichi was shocked by what he saw, but then his own phone activated, and his monster appeared as well, attacking the creatures. Hibiki and Nita fled the scene, with Nita's monster stopping the other creatures from chasing them. Hibiki realized that their monsters were protecting them. The friends ran as fast as they could, and Daichi, still confused, asked Hibiki what was going on. Nita showed them a picture of her monster on her phone and explained that it was due to the Nikaya app. Daichi pulled out his phone and saw his monster's image as well, and they were all confused. Hibiki explained that all of this was because of the Nikaya game. He had asked himself whether he really wanted to die during the train accident, and he had chosen life, which is why he was brought back. Nita said the same thing had happened to her, and Daichi admitted it had happened to him too. The three of them hadn't wanted to die, which is why the Nikaya game had given them monsters. Daichi asked Hibiki why the game had done that, but Hibiki replied that he didn't know. Then, Nita received a message that her monster had returned to her phone and was currently being repaired. She was terrified and in shock. Suddenly, they heard strange sounds around them. They decided they had to leave the area as quickly as possible. Hibiki asked Nita if she could walk, and they all rushed out of the station. Once outside, they found complete chaos with people gathered due to the accident at the station, all caused by the appearance of the monsters. Hibiki checked his phone and saw that his monster was still loading. Daichi's mom called to check on him, and he reassured her that he was safe and with Hibiki. Suddenly, all communication was cut off, and there was no electricity or signal in the entire town. Hibiki quickly went to the rescue team that was heading to the station to assess the situation. He told them that the train had derailed inside the station and that there might still be survivors trapped beneath. The man yelled at him, telling him to move away and that the area was being sealed off. Daichi reassured Hibiki that their families were safe and had already left the town. Hibiki noticed that Nita seemed worried about her family and asked her where her home was. She told him it was in Ariake, and Hibiki realized that her house was far away, and they could only get there by train. At that moment, another explosion occurred in another part of the town. Hibiki told them they needed to get away from the area quickly. Nita asked where they should go, and he said they should head to her house since it was far from the area, and staying there wasn't necessary. A specialized disaster response team was inspecting the area and found a lot of damage in various parts of the town. The leader of the team contacted headquarters and reported that they had activated the system. She was worried about what was to come and said that they would have to survive this period, even if it meant using the monsters. The people in the streets stayed there all day because they had nowhere else to go. Nita tried to check the signal but to no avail. She told Hibiki that if she had known all of this would happen, she wouldn't have attended the practice exam that day. She said she felt like the monsters had taken control of their bodies after they rejected death. Hibiki replied that he felt like they were in some kind of test, though he didn't know who was behind it or what the purpose was, but that was the feeling he had. At that moment, Daichi arrived with some drinks, and they were happy. But suddenly, a strange object descended from the sky, and everyone was confused. The object suddenly grew in size and was about to explode, creating a dangerous situation. Hibiki quickly ran away, taking his friends with him, as the object began firing at everyone, killing the people in its path. No one understood what was happening, but Hibiki asked Nita to summon the monster from her phone to face this threat. Nita followed his instructions, and her monster appeared, blocking the attack at the last moment and protecting them. A new death video appeared showing Daichi's death, and the evil monster attacked Nita's monster, killing it, and then heading toward them. Daichi appeared, driving at high speed in a car, heading toward the monster to stop it, but unfortunately, he died just like in the game, sacrificing himself to save them. At that moment, a strange and powerful energy activated. The disaster team leader noticed this energy and was informed by the analysis team that they had found unregistered data at Shimbashi Station, which was so powerful that it couldn't be measured. This energy was revealed to be the power of Hibiki's summoned monster, and it was recognized as an embodiment of the Byakko monster. The disaster team leader was astonished and asked who could summon a creature with such power. Hibiki commanded his monster to destroy the evil monster. The battle between the two monsters began, but Hibiki's monster was stronger, and it defeated the evil monster. Hibiki rushed quickly to check on Daichi, and it was revealed that Nita's second monster had saved Daichi from death. The friends reassured each other, and the disaster team leader observed them. She realized that Hibiki was the one who summoned the strongest monster, Byakko. Her commander ordered her to protect the kids, so she and her team descended and introduced themselves, telling the group that they were part of the JEPS organization and that they would be taking them with them. The JEPS team took the friends to their headquarters. On the way, Daichi was surprised by the route the organization was using to secure the town. The team leader took their phones and placed them in a bag to prevent them from using them to escape. Hibiki thought to himself that the government had known about these monsters for a long time, and he wondered why they had abandoned the people when they had known everything from the beginning. The team finally arrived at the headquarters, and the friends were amazed by the place. At that moment, the leader of the organization appeared and asked the team leader if this was the one who summoned the Byakko monster. She confirmed it, and he dismissed them and left. They were then locked in a room, and Daichi was very upset, yelling. He asked Nita why they were being detained. She replied that it might be because they had summoned the monsters. She said she was sure her mother was very worried about her today. Daichi tried to reassure her, but he was worried about Hibiki, who was outside with the leaders being interrogated. We see Hibiki with the team leader, who asks her why he was the only one brought here. She tells him that she brought him here because he would be the only one to know the truth. Hibiki is confused by her words as they enter the main room. He is amazed by the number of analysts working in the area and the massive machines they are operating. He asks her what they are doing here. She explains that this is a secret area under the Japanese government and the organization is JEPS. She finally introduces herself as the leader, Seiko. Hibiki is still confused and asks what JEPS is. She tells him that JEPS is the organization responsible for overseeing the barriers of Japan to protect citizens from any unfamiliar external threats. He asks her what these barriers are, and she replies that they are defensive systems made of spiritual energy. If they fail to maintain them, enemies will be able to infiltrate the country at will. Hibiki asks, and who are these enemies, exactly? She replies, it's hard for you to understand this now, but there are strange beings in this world, other than humans. They are the enemies. Hibiki is stunned and asks, like ghosts and monsters? She confirms, yes, they are called many names, but the important thing is that you are concerned about them now. Hibiki thinks to himself and admits that he didn't believe any of this until now, but he really did summon a monster and fought it. The leader of the organization arrives and tells Hibiki, you summoned Byakko, which is an embodiment of one of the 4 great beasts of the Chinese zodiac. That's why the enemies will definitely be stronger. The leader introduces Hibiki to Yamato, the head of the JEP's organization. Yamato tells Hibiki that he was the one who called him to the headquarters and explains that there is no other summoner in Tokyo who can summon a monster as powerful as him to compete with the other monsters. Hibiki is astonished by the power of monster summoning, and the leader, Seiko, informs him that there are many ways to summon monsters, and these methods have existed since ancient times. The latest method they have discovered is through mobile phones. Hibiki is surprised and asks, "You mean the monster summoning app?" She confirms, saying that not just anyone can use it. Hibiki asks her why such a dangerous thing is in mobile phones, and she replies that she doesn't know the source of the app spread but they are still investigating it. Yamato informs Hibiki that they had been prepared for the disaster that happened today for a long time. Hibiki is shocked and asks, "You knew about it, and you could have warned all the people who died, but you didn't?" Seiko responds that warning people would have only caused panic and chaos in the country, and what happened was their only choice. Hibiki says, "With all your resources here, and you couldn't help anyone, what's the point of your existence?" Yamato replies that the monsters they faced today were just weak ones, nothing more. Hibiki is shocked and remembers the evil monster he defeated with his own summoned monster. Yamato tells him that there are still 6 enemies left, and only 6 days to defeat them. If they don't defeat these enemies in the next 6 days, the world will be completely destroyed. Hibiki is stunned and asks, "Who are these enemies?" Seiko tells him that they are called the Invaders, or the Septentrions. Seiko explains that the Septentrions are from another world, and they are very powerful. They can't defeat them without the summoned monsters, and Hibiki has one of the strongest monsters capable of defeating them. She asks him, "So, will you help us?" Yamato commands Hibiki to obey, and Hibiki agrees to join the organization. JEP's scientists examine the phones of Hibiki and his friends, and they are stunned to find the monster summoning app on the phones of regular civilians. They are puzzled and don't understand why or how such a powerful system was created. We see the villain observing from a distance, saying that the monster Dovia has been defeated. He wonders if Hibiki is truly strong or just lucky for defeating Dovia. Hibiki, meanwhile, is lost in thought, unable to comprehend what is happening. Everyone is asleep except for him. Nita wakes up, and Hibiki apologizes for waking her, asking if she slept well. Nita notices that he is worried and asks him about what will happen to them. He reassures her that nothing will happen and that everyone will be fine. He explains that they were just being examined, and their phones were being checked. Nita feels reassured. 2 days later, Captain Kano brought them back to their home. Daichi was surprised and asked if they were really going back to their house. She confirmed, and Daichi and Nita were happy. Kano told them she would take them to the Ariake area, fulfilling her part of the deal. Daichi and Nita were confused and asked Hibiki about the deal. Hibiki explained that he had asked the organization to release them in exchange for joining them. His friends were surprised, and Hibiki told them that he had the power needed to fight. They arrived at a strange location, and the bridge on the highway leading to the town was destroyed. Nita became very worried about her mother. Hibiki asked Kano what was happening, and she explained that the information they received was incorrect. Nita broke down, but Hibiki encouraged her, saying, "Let's go to the shelter and stay together for now." Daichi also reassured her, and she agreed. They headed back to the shelter, where the people inside were anxious. They said the trains weren't working, and there was no news at all. The atmosphere was filled with despair and uncertainty. Nita decided to go upstairs to check on things. Daichi asked Captain Kano if they would help evacuate the people at the shelter. Kano explained that JEPS wasn't a police or fire department and couldn't handle evacuations. Their mission was something else entirely. She said the only help they could provide was giving them their phones, which she did. She also told them that the phones were equipped with JEP's emergency hotline, so they could contact them if needed. She bid them farewell and left. The people inside the shelter were talking about the monsters and blaming them for all that was happening, saying that the monsters were eating humans and causing the catastrophe. Nita started searching the list of missing persons for her mother's name, while Daichi and Hibiki looked for their families. They asked a man about what had happened in Ariake, but he said he didn't know anything, only that he saw a foggy cloud in the sky. Hibiki told Daichi he was going to get something to drink. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to Kano, who arrived at her car to leave. She blamed herself for not being able to help everyone in the shelter. Hibiki got drinks and walked through the building, observing the state of the people. Nita, sitting alone on the ground, was crying. Suddenly, a monster attacked the shelter through the window, causing everyone to panic and run. Hibiki, still in shock, summoned his monster just in time to save a boy from certain death and commanded it to eliminate the evil monster. At that moment, Kano noticed a large explosion in the building and immediately decided to return to the shelter. Back with Hibiki, he continued to fight the evil monsters, defeating them one by one. However, the monsters kept coming in greater numbers. Daichi arrived, determined to help Hibiki in the fight, but the system notified him of a malfunction and that repairs were underway. Hibiki kept fighting, and the number of monsters kept increasing. Just in time, Kano and her monster appeared, joining the fight to help him. Together, the two monsters fought the creatures and defeated them. Kano started searching for the phone that was summoning these evil monsters. Kano managed to find the phone and destroyed it, allowing Hibiki's monster to finish off the remaining monsters. The people in the shelter, however, were scared of Hibiki after he saved them, as they feared he might attack them with his own summoned monsters. Hibiki decided to leave so they could feel safe, but the boy he saved called out to him and thanked him. Hibiki returned, and he, Daichi, and Nida left the shelter with Kano. At the headquarters, the leader told Hibiki that he was very powerful and smart. Hibiki asked if the world could really be destroyed. "If my power can help, I will definitely assist you in fighting to protect others," he said. The leader and Kano smiled and thanked him for joining them and helping defeat the monsters. The friends decided to join the organization as well, and Hibiki asked, "What do we do now?" The leader then opened a screen, showing a picture of Professor Fumi. He informed them that she had been kidnapped and their first mission was to rescue her. We see the friends traveling by train with Hibiki to the JEP's headquarters. Hibiki thanks his friends for coming with him and tells them it's safer for them to stay in Tokyo, where they'll be more secure. Daichi responds that they're friends and can't leave him alone in a situation like this. Nida adds that staying there wouldn't help at all. Hibiki tells them that he discovered his monster is one of the strongest summoned creatures in the world. Daichi tries to show him that his monsters are strong too, but Hibiki explains that it's not a competition. Daichi then reveals that he also bought a new monster from the store. Hibiki continues to think about the danger they're in and promises his friends that he will always protect them, no matter what. They arrive at the headquarters station, where they're greeted by a leader of the organization. He welcomes them and informs them that the head of the organization had mentioned them. A strange woman then approaches and greets them, saying, "You're from Tokyo, right? We've been waiting for you." Hibiki is confused and asks who she is. She introduces herself as Hinako and introduces her friend from the team, Kaida. The leader explains that Kaida and Hinako are also summoners, just like them, and that they were assigned to the team yesterday. However, Kaida disagrees with the team's methods, stating that he doesn't want to interact with anyone and will only focus on his role, hunting monsters. The scene shifts to the town, which is in complete chaos. The headquarters is underground, and Hinako informs them that the search team has already scoured the town multiple times for monsters and is still continuing their search. She then takes them to Professor Fumi's room, explaining that the professor is also missing, and they've been searching for her everywhere. The room has been empty ever since. They visit the professor's office, and Nida asks if they found any clues about her whereabouts. Hinako sadly replies that they haven't found anything. The scene shifts to Kaida, who is fighting monsters while searching for the professor, but without success, as he doesn't even have a clue to help him find her. At that moment, he spots a flying monster in the sky and decides to follow it. Back with the friends in the room, Daichi asks if they are now officially summoners and wonders if there are other summoners who could take over these tasks. Hibiki is busy searching through data for anything that might help them locate the professor. He also reflects on why the organization appointed them to work with them and brought them here, but he's still uncertain about the exact reason. We see an evil figure observing the town from above, saying that his only goal is to taste more humans, nothing more. At that moment, the alarm system at the organization headquarters goes off, and we learn that the outer barrier is being attacked. What's worse is that a strange force is taking control of the system and preventing the organization from controlling their devices. The defense team leader orders the activation of the protection program, but it's ineffective, and the team starts searching for the location of the breach in the system. The friends and Hinako arrive, not understanding what's going on. They find that the breach has destroyed the first floor of protection, and now it's starting to destroy the second floor as well. Hibiki asks the defense leader if this attack is also from the Septentrions, the monsters. The leader, surprised by Hibiki's presence, asks him who he is. Hibiki explains that he's a new summoner with the organization. The leader recognizes him and asks, "You're the boy from Tokyo, right?" He learns that the organization allowed Hibiki to join them since he's here. The leader is unsure of what the main office of the organization is thinking and tells Hibiki that he has nothing to do with what's happening and that he and his friends should retreat immediately. However, Hibiki and Hinako refuse. Hibiki informs the leader that the second floor has fallen as well, and the friends suggest to the leader that they cut off the network connection, which would stop the breach. The leader refuses, explaining that it would be very reckless because if they shut down the system, all of Osaka would lose its magical defense shield, and there would be no protection against the invaders. Hibiki responds that someone must be assisting the Septentrions, and the leader admits that this is highly likely and that there's probably another enemy targeting them as well. At that moment, the fourth floor is breached as well. But the team finally locates the source of the breach and discovers that the attacks are coming from all over Japan. Hinako is shocked when a new death video of her appears in the Dead Face app. In the video, Kaida is shown dying. The friends are alarmed and ask if she recognizes the location in the video. She replies, "Who cares about that place?" Hibiki insists, "Just tell me quickly," and she recognizes the location, telling him it's near the festival gate and that it's close to here. Hibiki orders one of the team members to search for the locations of attacks close to their current position. She informs him that in Osaka, near Naniwa Hall at the abandoned festival gate park, is where the hacker is also attacking from. The team leader and the friends are amazed by Hibiki's ability to pinpoint the enemy's location. Hibiki receives a call from the organization's leader, instructing him to move quickly to the hacker's location, stop him, and take all the summoned creatures under his command. Hibiki is puzzled and asks the leader, "You sent us here knowing this would happen from the start, didn't you?" The leader doesn't respond, saying they don't have time for questions and urging Hibiki to go immediately. Hibiki tells the researcher not to send Hinako and Kaida to the location since they appeared in the death video, so they would be able to avoid the danger. He and his friends head to the location to deal with the threat. Kaida is still searching for the monster in the area. The atmosphere is oddly calm until his phone suddenly rings, startling him. At that moment, a giant monster attacks him, but Kaida narrowly avoids the attack, dropping his phone, preventing the researcher from contacting him. We see Hibiki and Hinako, with the rest of the group, heading down the road while being watched by a monster from afar. Meanwhile, Kaida continues to battle the giant monster, but another one appears. Kaida struggles to decide which one to fight, but he manages to avoid both of their attacks. He summons his monster quickly, ordering it to attack the evil creatures. Kaida's monster proves to be very strong, eliminating all the monsters in its path. Kaida is barely dodging the attacks when he almost falls onto a sharp object that could kill him. But just in time, Hinako arrives and saves him with her monster. The rest of the group joins, and they continue fighting the monsters. Daichi starts using his smaller monsters to search for the hacker responsible for summoning all these evil creatures. However, his monsters are too weak and are terrified of the evil ones, running and hiding. The leader contacts Hibiki, asking about the summoned creatures who should be able to handle the situation. To their surprise, all the other summoned creatures have died, leaving Hibiki as the only one capable of completing the mission and saving everyone. The organization's leader stresses the urgency of capturing the hacker as quickly as possible, or things will get much worse. The leader informs Hibiki that the hacker is hiding 50 meters from his current position. Hibiki feels anxious, but Nita encourages him, offering to search for the hacker herself. Hibiki divides the tasks, assigning himself, Hinako, and Nita to deal with the monsters, while Daichi and the others search for the hacker. Everyone moves out to carry out their roles in the plan. As time passes, the hacker continues to destroy the organization's defense layers. The friends start to tire from fighting the monsters, and unfortunately, their numbers are not diminishing. The leader orders the use of the Thanatal virus, which was created by Professor Kano before she disappeared. Everyone is shocked, and the team leader warns that the virus isn't fully developed and using it now is extremely dangerous. The leader insists it's essential and commands them to activate it immediately. At that moment, all the evil monsters suddenly begin to destroy. The friends are confused, but the organization's leader speaks to Hibiki, explaining that this is all they could do to buy time, and from now on, everything is in Hibiki's hands. We see that the hacker has now breached the 8th level of the protection system, but the leader reassures the team that they are safe as long as the hacker hasn't reached the core system. Still, they need to stop him quickly. Nita and Daichi reach the hacker's location and observe him from a distance. Daichi searches for a monster to fight with but only finds the weak ghost monster. Nita reassures him that her ogre monster can fight. She orders the capture of the hacker, but to everyone's shock, the hacker turns out to be the missing Professor Kano. The group is stunned as Kano's monster defeats Nita's monster easily, and her monster throws Nita from a great height. Kaida quickly saves her with his monster. Hinako is shocked when she realizes that the hacker is Professor Fumi. Even the headquarters is confused about what's happening, and everyone is in complete shock. The leader declares that the enemy has completely taken control of the professor. The defense leader tells the organization's leader that it is impossible to stop the hacker, especially since he invented the game in the first place. The organization's leader orders Hibiki to restrain the hacker. Hibiki commands his monster to attack, but it fails as the professor's monster easily blocks the attack. The evil monsters continue to attack, but nothing seems to work. The professor's monster even easily defeats Hinako's monsters with one attack. Daichi is terrified by the monster's strength. Hibiki comes up with a plan to capture the professor, and they start implementing it. They manage to defeat the professor's monster, and Daichi quickly sneaks up and captures the professor, disabling the systems and ending the breach. Everyone at the headquarters celebrates completing the mission. However, as they are about to secure the professor, her monster reappears and defeats Kaida's monster with a single blow. The evil monster then launches a powerful attack on the group, forcing Kano to carry out the last task under the hacker's control before disappearing, leaving her behind. We learn that the virus activated in the headquarters is now eating away at the protection system, which poses a great danger to the defense of the base. The protection shield ultimately falls, and unfortunately, Kaida dies, just as shown in the death video due to the final attack. Hinako and Nita are crying, and Hibiki tells them that the game warned them, but he couldn't stop fate. He blames himself, saying all of this happened because of his neglect in defending. Hinako tries to comfort him, telling him that it's not his fault and that this would have happened anyway. At that moment, a team from the organization arrives and speaks to Hibiki on the phone. The leader tells him that the Septentrions have appeared again and orders him to get ready. Soon, a massive monster vessel appears flying in the sky, and all the military forces prepare to face it. They fire at it, but unfortunately, it's ineffective, and the vessel easily attacks, destroying them. The evil leader speaks to his monster, telling it that everything is allowed now since the city's defense has fallen. The monster replies that things have become very difficult for humans, asking if the leader believes there is still a chance for humanity to win. The evil leader responds that he doesn't know, but if this is humanity's full strength, then unfortunately, it will be their end. The people see the ship in the sky and panic, with chaos spreading everywhere. The headquarters screen shows that the ship is heading towards South Shinosaka. The organization's leader is informed that the government forces have been wiped out, and now the only option left is to use Jep's firepower. He orders the team to open fire. Kano commands the attack, and we see Hibiki heading toward the battle. Daichi wants to join him, but no one allows it as his monsters are too weak. Instead, he's assigned to the medical evacuation team. The president's plan for the monster battle is to make Hibiki the last line of defense they can rely on to stop the monsters. However, Hibiki is frustrated and tells the president that he doubts he is up to the task, especially after Kaida's death while trying to protect him. The president motivates him, and Hibiki promises to protect everyone this time. The summoned creatures try to stop the ship, but they are easily destroyed in the process. Nita is searching for Hibiki everywhere when she finds someone from the organization and asks where Hibiki is. He tells her that he is at the top of the tall building. She thanks him and quickly heads toward Hibiki. The ship strikes a massive blow on the final defense wall of the city, successfully disabling it. Communication with the headquarters is cut off, and the temperature drops due to the ship's spiritual attacks. All of the medical team dies except for Daichi. Daichi calls Hibiki, telling him to get out of there quickly, as the situation is very dangerous. Everyone hears Daichi's warning, but Hibiki doesn't respond. The president hears Daichi's message and cuts off their communication. Hibiki becomes angry and decides to face the ship now, but the team stops him. He asks the leadership why they didn't let him fight the monster from the start, knowing this would happen. The leader replies that they didn't know much about the enemy, so they couldn't rush into action. Hibiki gets even more frustrated and decides to face the monster anyway, cutting off communication with the headquarters. The president prepares a backup plan for Hibiki. Hibiki summons his monster and heads toward the evil monster. Just as Nita reaches the top of the building, she misses him. The summoned creatures attack the ship again with all their might, but again, their attacks are futile. Hibiki arrives just in time to join the fight. Hibiki's monster attacks the ship with all its strength, but it's still ineffective. Worse, Hibiki's monster is injured, and Hibiki himself is about to be hurt. But Hinako takes the attack in his place, suffering greatly and dying as well. All of this happens because Hibiki didn't listen to the plan from the start. The forces continue to battle the monsters but are killed one by one. The evil leader appears before Hibiki, introduces himself as Kuro, and reveals that he is an old friend of the JEPS organization's president. Kuro tells Hibiki that all of this is his fault, just like Hinako's death, as she was badly injured trying to protect him. He also tells Hibiki that Nita is in a difficult position because he went against the plan, and now Nita is the last line of defense. We see the soldiers fighting alongside Nita against the monsters, but they fail, and Nita summons her new monster, Kikori, one of the strongest creatures. She orders Kikori to attack the ship, and it begins to succeed in its attacks. But suddenly, the ship prepares for a final, powerful attack to destroy the entire town. Just then, Hibiki arrives, furious, and strikes the ship, weakening it. He then uses a powerful, devastating attack to destroy the ship, saving everyone. Hinako wakes up and is happy to see Hibiki defeat the monster. Everyone is relieved and praises Hibiki. We see Professor Kano waking up from the coma she was in. At that moment, the ship is still alive, but it's destroyed when a mysterious figure appears and finishes it off. Hibiki asks the figure who they are, and the figure reveals that they are from the JEPS organization. Back at the headquarters, it is revealed that someone has taken control of the base. They discover that the mastermind behind all the chaos is Ronaldo, a former member of JEPS. We return to Ronaldo, who speaks to Hibiki, telling him that President Yamato is a very dangerous person and invites Hibiki to join him. Nita and the JEPS team search for Hibiki afterward, but unfortunately, they cannot find him anywhere. We learn that Ronaldo is the leader of the rebels who took over the JEPS branch in Nagoya. He was an important member of JEPS and disappeared 2 years ago. The big problem now is that he knows all the secrets of the organization. We see Nita and Daichi sneaking into the rebel JEPS branch, and this is Nita's plan. Daichi is very anxious, telling her that what they're doing is very dangerous. Nita responds that this is the only way they can infiltrate the rebels' base, using the shipping containers just like they did before. Daichi is angry with Hibiki for leaving them and going to the rebels in Nagoya. Nita replies that perhaps Hibiki left without them to avoid dragging them into the dangerous situation he's walking into. At that moment, a new death video of Nita appears, showing Hibiki fighting the enemies. Nita fears for him, worried that he might die. Nita and Daichi panic, thinking they need to act quickly before Hibiki is killed. We see President Yamato monitoring the situation from the headquarters and learning that the communication with Nita and Daichi has been cut off since they entered the rebel area. The president asks the analysts if Hibiki's signal is showing up in the rebel area. The analyst replies that the signal disappeared completely as soon as they entered the area. The president realizes that Hibiki has likely been kidnapped. We find Kano, the leader, worried about him, telling the president that they must have pushed Hibiki too hard, which led to this situation. The president says this is no excuse, as Hibiki is a citizen of this country and should be ready to sacrifice at any time. He becomes furious about the rebels appearing just when the monsters showed up. The president asks about the restoration process of the station that was damaged by the virus. He's told that the professor still hasn't woken up, so there's been no progress. The president orders the professor to be awakened immediately to resolve the issue quickly. At that moment, the professor responds through the radio, saying she is fixing the problem herself. She informs them that the tower is unfortunately broken and the backup copies of the defense wall have been wiped out as well. She admits that she is responsible for all this when she was under the enemy's control. Kano reassures the professor and asks if she's okay. The professor responds that she's fine, but admits that she is the reason everything happened. Kano doesn't reply and tells the professor she's rebuilding the system from scratch and will finish it as quickly as possible. The professor asks Kano to take a rest since she hasn't had any in a few days. Kano replies, "How can I rest with the enemies and the rebels around?" The president reassures her that there's been no movement from the enemy today and that she can rest. He also encourages her to take a break, saying there's still 5 enemies left, and this will be the beginning of the new battle. We see Kano resting and thinking about how the president intentionally sent Hibiki into the rebel area. She believes that Hibiki was greatly affected by Kaida's death, and it impacted his mentality. She's worried about the next phase, where humanity is on the verge of extinction. The scene shifts back 2 years to the past, showing Kano's first meeting with President Yamato. She's surprised by the strength of such a young boy. She becomes furious with him for using her in his plan, but he tells her he doesn't care about ordinary citizens, only those with extraordinary abilities. He tells her that, unlike the trash people, she's useful to the organization. Back to the present, Kano reflects on how if the president hadn't recruited her into the organization, she wouldn't be in her position now. She reassures herself that she will follow the president's orders forever, as she swore. We switch to the scientists, who confirm that the professor has returned, meaning they can finally restore the defense shield. We see them working on the president's phone. The president enters and greets them, asking if they've finished repairing it. They respond that they're still working on it, but unfortunately, they don't understand many things in the system. The president insists that the phone must work no matter what. We move to another house where 2 hunters are arguing. The girl is scolding the boy for letting her sleep when she had said no sleep. He explains she was so tired that she fell asleep as soon as she entered. She looks at their phones and says the important thing is that their monsters have regained their strength. With enthusiasm, she says it's time to take back JEPS from the rebels. The boy asks how they can do that, saying it's too dangerous to go alone. She replies that they have no choice but to act, as the rebels have likely captured their teammates, and there's no point in trying to contact them now. They're the only solution left for the organization. He gives her some sweets and tells her to eat a bit first so she feels better. She tastes the sweets and enjoys them very much. We learn that her name is Eri, and the boy's name is Django. He asks her if she thinks they should join the main JEPS branch. She asks what he means, and he says he fears them because they hide many secrets. Eri responds that she's also grateful to them for saving her, but she feels from their talks that they knew about the disaster from the start and did nothing. Django suspects that JEPS might also be against humanity. Eri, sensing his concern, tells him it's better for him to ask them directly. He asks, "Ask who? Are you stupid? What would I ask?" She tells him to ask the rebel leader, as he seems to know everything about Jeps and the monsters from the beginning. Django wonders how he'll reach the rebel leader, and Eri tells him they'll use a secret route that the rebels don't know about. The scene shifts to Nita and Daichi, who are walking through the rebel area's shelter. The situation is very tense, and chaos is everywhere. Daichi asks Nita about the road leading to the Nagoya Jeps branch. She tells him that Kano told them to go to the secret Central Park. Daichi feels something strange, noting that the leadership never prevented them from carrying out their plan, and everything seemed unusually easy, as if someone was secretly helping them. They reach the park, where people are gathered. Daichi asks Nita if these people are from Jeps or the police, but they appear to be ordinary citizens. At that moment, someone approaches them, offering food and water. He tells them that no one is helping the people in this area, so they shouldn't trust anyone, whether the government or the organization. He says he and his team will take care of the area from now on. Nita looks at the food he gave them and realizes it's from Jeps distributed supplies. They realize that this group has been stealing food from Jeps. We see that the group is managing the area well, distributing food to everyone, and they are the rebels. Suddenly, there's an explosion in the forest, and the monsters attack the people. Daichi quickly reacts, summoning his monsters to fight the monsters, but as usual, his monsters run away. Nita reacts quickly, summoning her monster, Kikori, who eliminates all the monsters with incredible speed. Daichi uses his weaker monsters to extinguish the flames with ice magic, but the rebel members surround them once they realize they are summoned creatures, warning them not to move. Daichi and Nita surrender themselves, but at that moment, a huge number of monsters appear again, shocking everyone. Hibiki then appears with a new, very powerful monster and destroys the monsters with a single strike. Nita and Daichi feel reassured by his presence, but they are surprised when the rebels address him as Sir. Hibiki continues to destroy the monsters with his new monster, Suzaku, eliminating them easily. Daichi and Nita are amazed by Hibiki's new strength. Nita runs to Hibiki to tell him that they saw him in the Dead Face app, but he walks away without noticing her. Daichi asks one of the rebels about where Hibiki is heading. The rebel tells him that Hibiki is probably going to the leader right now. Nita asks him to take them there. We then see a rebel bothering the military medical team and patients, telling them they should die just like they abandoned ordinary citizens. The doctor tries to explain to him that this isn't right, but the fool doesn't understand. Ronaldo enters the room with Hibiki and silences the man with them, saying that since they followed the orders, they are now one of them. Ronaldo tells the doctor that what needs to be done now is to stop Yamato, the president of Jeps. The doctor is surprised, and Ronaldo gives her phone, telling her that since she's a summoner, she'll surely need it to protect those around her. At that moment, a soldier yells at Ronaldo, accusing him of rebellion, calling everything he's done a crime. Ronaldo calmly responds that monsters are everywhere now, and they must defeat them quickly, or humanity will be extinct. The doctor asks him why he's fighting Jeps if he knows all this. Ronaldo explains that Yamato's only goal is to defeat the monsters and create a magical barrier to control the entire world. That's his plan to become the ruler of the new world. He tells them that Yamato controls both Jeps and the Japanese government. The doctor acknowledges that Yamato might be terrifying but asks for proof of what Ronaldo is saying. Ronaldo responds that he was a former investigator in Jeps. The doctor is shocked to learn that Ronaldo was once a high-ranking member of Jeps. He tells her that Yamato's family's goal has always been world domination, and when he discovered this secret, they tried to kill him. Yamato told him that if he wouldn't obey, then he was useless. A person asks Hibiki if he knew about this. Ronaldo tells them that Yamato wants everyone to be like him, but Hibiki responds that even if they became like him, they would still be useless in his eyes. Ronaldo convinces the rebels present, explaining his point of view. We return to Eri and Django after they found the secret entrance. Hibiki talks to one of the rebels, asking about the things Ronaldo said. The rebel replies that he didn't understand anything from Ronaldo. Hibiki then asks, "Why are you part of the rebellion, then, Joey?" Joey responds that he's only doing it to annoy the government, nothing more. Joey senses Hibiki's depression and tells him, "Why are you sad? You're still alive. Enjoy life as much as you can." He encourages Hibiki. Ronaldo then arrives and tells Hibiki that Joey lost his friend for their cause, which is equality among all humans. Ronaldo takes Hibiki to their temporary command center, where a group of analysts recognize Hibiki. They tell him that he is extremely powerful with the two strong monsters he has and that he is the strongest summoner in the country. Ronaldo tells Hibiki that if Yamato's plan is going well, then monsters will appear in Nagoya today, and they must stop them at any cost. Everyone prepares for the confrontation, and Hibiki asks Ronaldo about the plan. Ronaldo explains that the plan is to face off with Hagen, his monster, while Hibiki's Byako and Suzaku face the enemies. Joey also says he will participate in the battle. Even the doctor decides to fight with them. Hibiki is surprised and asks her, "You're not part of JEPs, though." She replies that now that the monsters are going to attack them, they all need to cooperate, right? Hibiki gets motivated for this battle because this time there's no use of humans as shields, like Yamato does. The scene shifts to the past, 12 years ago, where we see a young Yamato. His teacher arrives to prepare his atomic plan, but Yamato dismisses him, saying, "You still think I'm studying with you? You're useless." We learn that Yamato was exceptional from a young age, never living like ordinary children. Even when the first summoned monster appeared, the lion, one of the strongest monsters in the world, no one could control it except Yamato. Time passes, and we learn that Yamato and the evil leader are friends, playing chess together. We return to the present, where we realize that everything happening now is part of Kuro's evil plan and Yamato's involvement. Yamato tells Kuro, "Let's start the plan." Kuro asks, "How are we going to start when your ace, Hibiki, isn't here? Your perfect plan won't succeed." Yamato responds that it doesn't matter, only the strongest must lead the world, and the plan must proceed at any cost. At that moment, Yamato receives a death message for one of his friends. Yamato suspects that it's Kuro who will die, and he becomes extremely angry. Eri and Django are sneaking into the rebel JEPs branch through a tunnel. Django struggles to move through the tunnel, and Eri comments that it's because he's so big. He responds that it's natural for him, and she's the one who's small. Eri gets upset, but Django calms her down, promising to make her the sweet she likes once they are safely out. Meanwhile, Nita and Daichi are on their way to Hibiki in a car with one of the rebels guiding them to his location. They ask him to hurry because Hibiki is in danger. We see Hibiki, Ronaldo, the doctor, and Joey preparing for the plan. Hibiki asks Ronaldo, "This is where the monsters will attack, right?" Ronaldo confirms and says it's based on the information from Yamato's family. The doctor mentions that JEP still doesn't know everything about these monsters, and it's very dangerous to fight all these monsters alone. Ronaldo reassures her, telling her that their monsters are much stronger than JEP's monsters, and their primary role is to protect people. There's no choice but to fight. The team returns to the main command room, and the doctor asks Hibiki why he joined the resistance when JEPs was the one who saved him in the first place. Hibiki replies that as long as he's with JEPs, he won't be able to protect everyone. The doctor asks if that means JEPs is evil, but Hibiki cuts her off, stating that Yamato cares only about obedience, and because of his orders, many people have unfortunately died. Hibiki says that if he had known Yamato was right in everything he did, he would have helped him, but he's not sure about any of Yamato's actions. The doctor asks if that means Hibiki thinks Ronaldo is right. Hibiki responds that at least Ronaldo is someone who can sacrifice himself for others. At that moment, Joey informs Hibiki that there are people claiming to be his friends. Daichi and Nita enter, happy to see that Hibiki is okay. Everyone is glad to be reunited, but the resistance team is still wary of Nita and Daichi because they're from JEPs. Joey tells them that since Nita and Daichi are Hibiki's friends, there's no problem. Daichi and Nita inform Hibiki that they saw a new death video, and Hibiki was the one dying in it. Back at JEP's headquarters, Kano is monitoring the progress and asks about the status of the Nagoya branch. She's told that communication is still down, and there's no contact with the infiltration unit. She then asks about Nita and Daichi, but they're also out of contact, possibly having fled. Kano is very worried about them and decides to search for them herself. We see Daichi telling Hibiki that they should hurry and escape to Tokyo, but Hibiki replies that he can't leave because the monsters will appear here soon, and it's impossible to leave all these people in this situation. Daichi yells at him, saying there's no time for this, and that he'll die if he stays. The death videos don't lie. Daichi gets angry and doesn't know what else to say, but he and Nita promise to stay with him and protect him with their lives, asking him to take care of himself and not act recklessly. At that moment, Django and Eri fall from the tunnel, and the resistance members surround them. Both sides summon their monsters, and a fierce battle ensues, but Eri and Django easily defeat the resistance members. Ronaldo arrives and stops their monsters, saying, "You're from JEPs, right? Your monsters are really strong." Django asks if he's the leader of the resistance, and Ronaldo points to himself, saying, "I am." Ronaldo tries to talk to them, but they attack him and Joey with their monsters, resulting in a fierce battle. Hibiki asks everyone to stop fighting, telling them it's not the right time to argue. Eri, however, gets angry, telling him, "Who are you? I don't even know you," and continues fighting. At that moment, the ground shakes, and the analysts inform Ronaldo that the monsters are about to appear. Ronaldo asks them to pinpoint where the monsters will emerge, and they tell him they'll appear at the headquarters. Ronaldo is shocked and urges Hibiki to head to the monster's location quickly. The monster appears near Ronaldo and Joey. Ronaldo orders everyone to flee and hide in the shelters, except for the team that will fight the monsters. Everyone follows his orders, and Ronaldo asks Eri and Django to help them fight. They all attack the monster, but their efforts are in vain as it's incredibly tough. The evil monster begins to charge up its attack, destroying everyone's monsters with a single strike. We learn that the monster has cut the power to the headquarters and is trying to destroy the main defense line completely. Kuro is observing the situation from afar, commenting that this is a dire situation for humanity. Eri doesn't understand what's going on and asks Ronaldo about it. He tells her that if the monster lands one more hit, it will destroy Nagoya completely. Everyone is anxious as the monster prepares its final attack, but Hibiki appears at the last moment, attacking with his fire monster, Suzaku, and successfully halts the monster's advance. He continues attacking, and everyone is amazed by Hibiki's strength. Django asks Ronaldo who Hibiki is, and Ronaldo replies, "This is Hibiki, humanity's last hope." The evil monster starts to weaken from Hibiki's attacks, and Nita helps in the battle, but she grows tired over time. The doctor also joins in, using her monster's power to weaken the evil monster. At that moment, the evil monster splits into two new monsters, and the situation becomes even more dangerous with no one understanding what's happening. The monster prepares for a new attack, and Hibiki tries to stop it with his monster, but unfortunately, he can't, and both his and Nita's monsters are defeated. The place starts collapsing, and the situation becomes just like the video Nita and Daichi saw. Daichi tells Hibiki to run, but Hibiki continues attacking the monster with his other monster, Bayako, the Thunder Tiger. However, the evil monster defeats it in seconds, and Hibiki's phone gets damaged. The situation becomes extremely dangerous, and the monster is about to finish off Hibiki, but Yamato and his lion monster arrive just in time and destroy the evil monster with one blow. Hibiki is shocked by Yamato's help and watches as the lion continues attacking the evil monster, eventually destroying it completely. The professor contacts the headquarters, informing Yamato that she has regained control of the branch and that Jep's forces have surrounded the resistance members, capturing them. Hibiki is furious with Yamato and asks, "If you're so strong, why didn't you join the fight? Why let everyone die because of your foolish orders?" Yamato calmly responds that everything that happened was necessary. Hibiki, even more enraged, asks, "What was necessary? I don't understand how you think." Yamato replies that to him, all these people are just pawns he uses for victory, and even Hibiki is just a pawn, though special. Ronaldo exposes Yamato's plan to everyone, saying it's what will allow him to rule the world. Yamato admits that the strongest, which is him, must rule the world because that's the natural order. Yamato surrounds everyone, and Hibiki challenges him, saying, "Are you challenging me?" Hibiki summons his tiger monster and asks Yamato to stop. Yamato asks why, and Hibiki responds, "If you intend to harm people, I must stop you. I can't understand how you think." Yamato coldly replies, "You don't have to understand me." At that moment, Kuro appears, commenting on the situation, and introduces himself to Hibiki. He explains that Yamato came here because he saw Hibiki's death video as well. Hibiki is shocked to learn that Yamato came here to save his life. Everyone present is confused by the monsters and doesn't know who this person is. Hibiki is surprised that his death video appeared for Yamato, as this means that Yamato considers him a friend. Yamato responds, "You're just my weapon, nothing more. Don't think about anything else." Kor gets annoyed with Yamato and asks, "What do you want to achieve?" Yamato responds, "Why are you denying it? You know that if you hadn't come at the right time, Hibiki would have been dead." Yamato stubbornly replies, and Kor says, "You never change." Hibiki, not understanding anything, asks Kor, "What are you planning to join? You're about to make the most important decision of your life." Hibiki gets nervous and says, "All I want is to use my power for good." Ronaldo gets very angry and says, "If you go back to them, they will use you again." Kor tells Ronaldo, "You're the leader of the resistance, right? Could you please be quiet and let Hibiki decide?" Ronaldo yells at Kor, asking, "You seem to know everything about the Yamato family's plan. Could you tell me?" Kor uses his terrifying beast and scares them all, saying, "Didn't I tell you to shut up and stay out of it?" Everyone is shocked that Kor's monster spoke. Ronaldo asks, "Is this the monster that serves you?" Kor calms his beast, saying, "Why do you care about these humans? I'm not concerned with what happens to these weak creatures." Irai yells at the beast, "You were the one who destroyed Nagoya, right? And you're still going to release her beast to fight?" The beast attacks her with a powerful strike, but Jungo quickly protects her from the attack. Irai realizes she can't summon her own beast. Kor tells her, "You can't summon your beast, can you? Irai gets angry and curses Core's beast. The beast gets furious and decides to burn her. Core silences his beast, saying, "This is the second time I've ordered you to stop." The beast obeys, saying, "I was just joking." The rest of the team is surprised that Core doesn't use a phone like they do to summon monsters. They begin to doubt Core and Hibiki asks, "Are you a monster too?" Core responds, "Is that really what's on your mind? I'm Core, just a group leader, nothing more." Hibiki is puzzled and asks, "What do you mean by group leader?" Core replies, "Honestly, I don't know who I am either, but at least I don't want to be your enemy." Hibiki demands, "Answer me clearly, don't make it complicated." Core responds, "I'm not doing that at all. I'm trying to give you an answer that satisfies you." At that moment, all the resistance fighters summon their beasts and attack Core fiercely. Core smiles and says, "With all this power, I can use the summoning app." Ronaldo says they will take him hostage, but Core's monster gets angry and uses its terrifying flame to burn all the resistance monsters in seconds. Hibiki asks everyone to stop and tells Ronaldo to have all the men retreat. He says he will handle the situation. Core adds, "I forgot to mention something, I gave the humans the summoning app." Everyone is shocked, and Captain Kano wonders what's going on. She thinks that Yamato has a lot of things he hasn't shared with her yet. Hibiki is stunned and asks, "What do you mean by that?" Core explains that they're too weak against the monsters, which is why he gave them the app so they could face the monsters. Everyone is shocked to learn that Core created the Deadly Face program. Yamato tells them, "The matter is simple, either you're talented or you're useless." Core asks Yamato, "Are you taking Hibiki with you?" Yamato doesn't respond, and Core asks Hibiki, "What's it going to be? Will you stay here or come with us?" Yamato tells Hibiki that the monsters will appear again tomorrow, but this time they will appear in 3 locations at once. Core informs them that, according to the old plan, the monsters will appear in Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka simultaneously. The monster coming is the Trinity, one of the most powerful beasts capable of attacking 3 locations at once. Core tells them that the only monsters that can fight tomorrow are the ones at the same level of power as Byaku the tiger, Hibiki's monster only. This means that ordinary summoners will be useless tomorrow. Yamato tells Hibiki that he'll leave Osaka to him to protect. Core says, "Why didn't you tell him that from the start?" Yamato yells, "Stop talking and be quiet," and walks off. Hibiki calls out to Yamato, saying, "I don't plan to be under your control." He tells him that he won't let his power be under anyone's command again, and that he'll fight to protect the people only. Yamato replies, "Do as you wish. I'm not interested. My only goal is to eliminate the monsters." Hibiki responds, "Fine. I'll eliminate all the enemies, and if you try to create a corrupted future, I'll stop you too." Ronaldo is surprised by Hibiki's decision and asks, "Is this your final decision?" Hibiki replies that he will defeat all the enemies. Yamato tells Ronaldo that he is responsible for the area here, Nagoya. Ronaldo responds, "You mean I'll be under your command again?" Yamato replies, "Yes, your reckless actions are why we're in this chaos, and because of them, we lost Nagoya's defense." Yamato continues, "If you don't fight well tomorrow, Nagoya will be destroyed." Ronaldo responds, "I will definitely kill the enemies, but I won't let you play with humanity's future as you please." Yamato leaves and says, "That's, of course, if you manage to survive first." Everyone gets nervous, and Hibiki assures them, "We'll definitely survive." Irai runs to Hibiki and says, "The one who was here is the leader of the Gibbs organization." Hibiki asks, "And who are you?" She replies, "I'm Irai, and this is Jungo." Irai asks about Core, but they look around, and he's disappeared. We see Core sitting with his beast, and the beast says, "You gave them the monster summoning app, so they rely on you." Core responds, "I'm always surprised by my actions, and I don't know exactly who I am." The scene transitions to Yamato, who is returning by train to the main Gibbs headquarters. His hand is stiff, and his phone is still facing a big problem, malfunctioning again. The scene rewinds 3 years into the past, where Yamato tells Core that he will never return to his family's mansion. Core replies, "You're grown now, you can do whatever you want." Yamato responds, "I will create my ideal world." Core replies, "Power creates everything. It's simple. If you're strong enough, you can achieve all of it." Yamato says, "Those with true power are the ones who should guide everyone else. I was born to change this world, so I must take responsibility." Core asks, "Do you think you can survive until the very end?" Yamato responds, "Of course, I will survive." We return to Hibiki, who is reflecting on what happened and realizing that Yamato really did come to save him. 4 days later, we see the team at the main headquarters testing the instant transport operation, with Professor Fumi trying it on herself. She informs Kano that the test was successful, and she was already 99% sure it wouldn't fail. They talk afterward, mentioning that the transport station was ready yesterday, and they sent the president in, even though he could transport himself through his flight magic. Yesterday, they sent Yamato, unsure whether his body would handle it or if it might even be destroyed. Fumi asks Kano, "Is Hibiki really that important?" Kano replies, "Yes, Hibiki is a very important weapon for us." Next, we go to the medical clinic where Fumi and Kano are both sleeping on devices to undergo their physical exams. Kano asks, "Is this the right time for exams?" Fumi casually replies, "It's just some routine tests we need to do periodically." We then return to Hibiki and Daichi, where Hibiki tells him that they need to set up a system and rules in the area they're leading, just like Gibbs has done in Tokyo. Daichi feels useless to Hibiki in the midst of everything going on, but Hibiki encourages him, saying, "If they hadn't come yesterday, you'd have been in big trouble." Daichi smiles and says, "We'll defeat all the monsters together." We move to the doctor who is examining Nita. They chat for a bit, and Nita asks the doctor, "Why did you join Gibbs?" The doctor simply responds that they asked her to be their doctor, and she agreed, all under the government's supervision. Over time, she also became a summoner. The doctor laughs, saying, "The salary here is better too." Nita later learns that the doctor has a daughter and shows her a picture of her on her phone. The next day, everyone in the 3 areas prepares to face the monsters, clearing civilians from the way in the 3 locations. Hibiki is transported to Osaka via instant transport, and he informs Kano that from today, they are no longer part of Gibbs. She says she knows and has high hopes for him. We see Yamato in Tokyo, ready to face the monsters on his own. Hibiki and his friends arrive in Osaka and prepare for battle as well, finding Hinako waiting for them there. Hibiki is relieved in that moment to see that she's still alive and hasn't died. The next day, we move to Nagoya, where everyone is ready for the battle. Irai is extremely upset because the monsters have destroyed her area. We see Hibiki and his friends also ready to face the monsters in Osaka. Daichi is worried that they're the only ones fighting the monsters in the area. Hibiki tells him to run away because his monster won't be useful in this fight. Daichi gets angry and asks, "Why should I run? I'm a summoner just like you." Hinako tells him he still doesn't know how to use the summoning app properly, so he needs to run. He gets even angrier and tells her, "Shut up and just watch what I do to the enemies." Daichi then tries to buy a strong monster to help him fight, and he continues arguing with Hinako about who will buy the monster on his phone. But Hibiki is not paying attention to them. He's thinking about the information Ronaldo shared with him before they came to Osaka about Yamato's family plan to control the country after the war with the monsters. He says that he needs to think of a way to stop Yamato if he goes through with this plan after the war. Suddenly, the monsters appear in the 3 areas, and everyone starts defending their area using their monsters. But unfortunately, the enemy isn't affected by any attacks and continues its advance, healing itself in seconds. Everyone is shocked by the monster's ability to heal itself and doesn't know what to do. The situation is the same in all 3 areas, and as usual, Daichi's monster runs away from the battle the moment it sees the evil monster. But we see Hinako moving forward to fight as well, helping Hibiki and Nita battle the monster to avenge Kaita. Over time, they discover that the monster's only weakness is its heart. Hibiki uses Byaku to attack the monster's heart and succeeds in destroying it. But the big shock happens when the monster reappears. Everyone realizes that their attack didn't work, and this time the monster begins attacking them, forcing everyone to flee. We see Yamato summoning his powerful beast, Ball, and commanding it to control the evil monster for a while, keeping it in place. Ball succeeds in restraining the monster, but the monster then attacks Yamato with a very strong blow. Yamato summons his lion to defend and blocks all the attacks in seconds. Everyone at the headquarters is amazed by President Yamato's incredible strength. Yamato contacts Hibiki and Ronaldo, asking them to hold the monster back for as long as possible. Kano tells them that to destroy the monster, they need to destroy its heart simultaneously in all 3 areas, otherwise, it will regenerate. The situation is very difficult in Nagoya, and Ronaldo responds that it's very hard, but he'll definitely stop it. The monster continues advancing on the defense tower, and Irai and Jungo try to stop it, but with no effect. At the same time, Hibiki tries to stop the monster, with Hinako helping him. She tells him they need to stop the monster quickly before time runs out. At that moment, a new death video appears on Hibiki's phone, showing the deaths of the doctor, Joy, and Ronaldo. Hibiki is shocked and quickly calls Ronaldo, warning him to run because a new death video has appeared. Ronaldo thanks him but tells him he'll be fine and can't run away. Hibiki gets angry and tells him that the place is dangerous for him. Joy replies that they don't have another choice, and the doctor says no one else can defeat this monster except them, so they must face it with all their strength. Ronaldo reassures Hibiki, saying they can avoid what happened in the video, just like what happened with him yesterday, and ends the call. Nita informs Hibiki that the monster is getting closer to them, and they prepare for battle again. We see Ronaldo asking Joy and the doctor to run if they feel their lives are in danger and not do anything reckless. He also tells Irai and Jungo the same thing, and they all agree that none of them plans to die now. The command center monitors the monster's progress at each tower in every area, and it's getting very close. We return to Nagoya, where the situation is extremely dangerous. Irai remembers her memories being destroyed as the monster destroys the city. Ronaldo orders the use of the backup plan and activates the underground bombs to trap the monster in a pit, preventing it from advancing. Everyone then begins attacking the monster, but it climbs out of the pit and they can't do anything to stop it. Ronaldo calls out to Irai when he sees she isn't moving. She's in a state of panic and intense anger. Irai then calls forth a very powerful monster and pins it in place, exposing its heart once again. Hinako attacks the monster in Osaka, revealing its heart as well. The same happens with Yamato, who attacks with ball and exposes the monster's heart too. They all strike at the heart simultaneously in all three areas, destroying it and finally defeating the monster, ending the battle. Everyone is happy with the success, but at the last moment, the monster shoots its fire at Ronaldo and the others before it dies. Hibiki tries to contact them but no one answers. We see that Jungo was injured while protecting Irai, but he's fine. They're all worried about Ronaldo, Joy, and the doctor, who tragically didn't make it. Irai cries, and everyone mourns their deaths. Hibiki is deeply saddened by the loss of his friends, and Hinako tries to comfort him. He says, "I know that everyone chooses their own fate, and they did what they had to do, just like me," and he cries. The scene then shifts to Yamato and Fumi, walking through an underground tunnel. Fumi asks him what he thinks about what happened at the Nagoya branch. Yamato replies, "All that matters to me is that they won the battle and defeated the fourth monster. That's all." Fumi talks to him about the great spear that her family has kept for generations, the Baryonak spear. She tells him that the spear is still not ready and is still being modified. They stop in front of the spear, and she tells him that using it now is mandatory, and there's no choice but to proceed with it. We see Hibiki, still mourning the loss of his friends, wondering who these monsters are and why they are attacking them. He wishes it were all a dream, hoping to wake up soon. At that moment, Kor appears and tells him that unfortunately, what he's experiencing is reality, not a dream. Kor informs him that there are only 3 enemies left, and humanity's fate will soon be decided. Hibiki, filled with anger, asks, "Is it fun for the monsters to wipe out humanity like this?" Kor responds, "Some monsters do think like that, but I'm definitely not a monster, and you know that." Hibiki asks, "Then why aren't you helping humanity? You have the power to end all of this." Kor replies that, unfortunately, he can't help them. Hibiki asks why, and Kor explains that this war is for humans alone. If they don't show their potential, they will not deserve to live. Hibiki gets angry and asks, "Who has the right to test humans with such a filthy test?" Kor answers, "Polaris, the system's director and the one in power, is the one behind all of this." Hibiki is shocked, and Kor continues, saying that Polaris came up with this test to maintain order in the world. Hibiki asks, "Who is this Polaris?" Kor explains that Polaris is the one seeking to protect the world's natural order, and humans are a part of that world, so they must be part of the test. Hibiki, still angry, says, "Polaris has no right to do this either." Kor responds that Polaris does have the right, and he agrees but can't do anything about it because, in the end, he's Polaris's sword. Kor informs him that the monsters are also tools used by Polaris to maintain the order he wants. Hibiki asks, "So you're one of the enemies?" Kor replies, "I'm just a machine used in the system, with no right to know anything. But still, I feel for the humans and am saddened by their situation." Hibiki says, "So that's why you gave the summoning weapon to humanity?" Kor replies, "You mean the monster summoning app? I only gave you a choice. If humanity wants to survive, they can use this opportunity to show their will to Polaris." Kor explains that, as a machine, he can't directly rebel against Polaris, but he can offer choices for humanity to survive. Hibiki is disturbed and asks Kor, "Why would you be troubled by such a story?" Kor replies that he's also troubled and doesn't understand why he feels this way, even though he's a machine. He wishes he didn't have this conscience, as it pains him, and he still doesn't know who he really is. Hibiki asks, "Does Yamato know this story too?" Kor replies, "Yes, Yamato knows everything." Hibiki then notices that the world is disappearing in certain areas. He asks Kor, "What's happening?" Kor replies, "It's the void." Hibiki is shocked and asks, "Is this what you mean by destroying the world?" Kor corrects him, saying, "No, we mean that anything related to the human world will completely disappear as if it never existed." Kor is deeply saddened by the loss of the human world and the humanity he lived with all his life. He tells Hibiki that he doesn't want to lose them, as he watches everything happening and the world disappearing. Everyone thinks that it's becoming almost impossible to save this world. 5 days later, Hibiki wakes up and finds Kor in front of him. Hibiki gets startled and asks, "What are you doing here?" Kor replies, "No one told me to go back home, so I'm here. Are you upset?" Hibiki takes him and they go to have a drink. Kor asks, don't you have any green tea? Hibiki responds, unfortunately, there's only coffee. Core says, no problem. You must be tired making it, so I'll drink it. Hibiki tells Core that he learned the human language from Yamato. Hibiki asks, what exactly is your relationship with Yamato? Core says, we're friends, I think. Core then explains to Hibiki that Yamato has had extraordinary abilities since birth and has always had immense strength. Hibiki asks Core about Yamato's goal now. Core responds, Yamato's goal is to monitor the talented ones and make the world worthy only of the talented. Hibiki gets upset and says, the world has both the strong and the weak, and both have the right to live. Core replies, Yamato doesn't care about weak people. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with his decisions, but I think this is wrong. Core tells Hibiki that he was also born with amazing power. Hibiki responds, I never wanted it. Core replies, that humility is typical of the talented, but it doesn't matter whether you want the power or not because it exists. If you keep thinking about it, unfortunately, you'll always remain anxious. Core enjoys the bitterness of the coffee. Hibiki asks, would you like to try it with a little sugar, and adds more sugar for him to taste. Core finds it better that way and thanks Hibiki, saying, what you did for me is a choice, and that's exactly what a leader does. Hibiki is surprised and asks, you really can't help humanity? Core responds, I'm just a machine created by Polaris. I can't oppose him directly. All I can do is watch what happens. Hibiki asks Core, are you staying here in this room, or where are you going? Core replies, am I supposed to go somewhere? Hibiki asks, what have you been doing here all this time? Core answers, nothing. I'm a machine that has developed feelings, but I still don't know who I am. Core feels sorry for Hibiki and tells him, since you're not our enemy, you can stay here as long as you want. Core is surprised and says, your view of me has changed, hasn't it? We've become friends, haven't we? I'm happy about that. Hibiki says, just don't let anyone see you here. If they find out you're here, a war might break out. Core reassures him, they'll never find out I'm here. At that moment, Daichi and Nita enter the room suddenly, surprised to see Core in front of them. Hibiki quickly explains, and they calm down. Hibiki then begins thinking about the next steps and looks at the flash drive Ronaldo gave him, which contains information about Yamato's family plan. We then see Hinako meeting Irai on the road, and they head to the research room where Kano and Professor Fumi are. Kano tells them they need their strength for a new mission and informs them that the fifth monster will appear soon. Hinako asks, you want me and Irai to defeat it, right? Kano confirms, and Fumi tells them they are the only ones suited for this mission. Irai asks what they should do. Irai and Hinako set off on their mission. Meanwhile, Hibiki arrives at the operation room and asks Kano why she only sent them and kept everyone else ready. Kano explains that no other monster will be able to handle the fifth monster except Irai and Hinako. At that moment, Yamato arrives, and it's revealed that the fifth monster has finally appeared. The monster appears above Sapporo, a gigantic creature flying in the sky over the area. Irai and Hinako arrive at their positions, summon two very strong monsters, and launch a devastating attack on the monster in the sky. They strike its crystal and defeat it with ease. However, the monster's body shatters and falls to earth, threatening to destroy Sapporo completely. All the employees in the area flee quickly, and the city is about to be crushed. The protective shield activates and destroys the city, tragically killing the residents, though the tower remains intact. Hibiki gets angry over the deaths of the residents and asks Yamato if he knew this would happen. Yamato replies, yes, I knew. If you have a better solution than what I did, feel free to say it. Hibiki falls silent and thinks, the destruction of humanity seems so close now. Core comments that humanity is doomed, and there's no place left for them to escape. Only 2 days remain before total destruction. Hibiki looks at all the details of Yamato's family plan and realizes that everything that has happened was inevitable. They knew this would happen. Yamato's ultimate goal is to survive the 7 days of the monster's appearance and then create the world he's always dreamed of. Hibiki decides he must survive, no matter what, to make sure everyone's sacrifice means something. Later, Yamato holds a feast in honor of their victory over the fifth monster, but Irai is upset, saying she doesn't feel like celebrating because the Sapporo area was destroyed in front of their eyes, and they couldn't do anything. They argue again about the logic of power and how the weak have no place in this world. Jungo asks Yamato why he summoned them. Yamato says, I wanted to know who survived over the past 2 days through their decisions. Hibiki is surprised, and Yamato explains that enemy attacks will cease after 2 days. Everyone is happy, and Hinako says, then we'll be able to return to our homes. Yamato responds, after defeating the last monster, the surviving humans will be able to meet the leader Polaris. Everyone is confused about who Polaris is, but Hibiki already knows because Core explained everything to him. Irai asks Yamato if Polaris is the leader of the enemy. Yamato replies, Polaris is responsible for everything in this world. Hibiki tells his friends that the Gibbs organization wants to meet Polaris to create a new system for the world. They're all confused, and Hibiki explains the situation. He tells them that the Gibbs organization, led by Yamato, wants to reshape the world to suit them, and this is what Ronaldo knew and tried to stop. He says this has been the plan of the government and Yamato's family for a long time. Hibiki yells at Yamato, not everything you said is true. Yamato responds that none of this is related to his family's plan and that he lives by his own thoughts and will, apart from his family's ideology. He insists that he must create a new world where the talented lead. Yamato tells them that after 2 days, those who disobey him will die. He leaves them to think it over and walks away. Everyone returns to their rooms, feeling uneasy. Kano goes to Nita and tells her that tomorrow's mission has been decided, and she must die so that the others can live. Nita is shocked. Kano explains to Nita that she is the key to defeating the monster tomorrow, and without her sacrifice, there is no chance for anyone's survival. Nita is deeply affected and asks, so if I sacrifice myself, everyone will survive? Kano confirms and tells her that she will be sent on the mission tomorrow. She leaves, and Nita breaks down in tears. The next morning, Daichi, Nita, and Hibiki meet in Hibiki's room, where Core presents them with delicious and amazing food. Hibiki is shocked and says, you're outside the room now. Core responds, yes, I studied the behavior of many humans during that time. They taste the food and find it incredibly delicious. Daichi suggests they share it with everyone. Hibiki agrees but says, just don't let anyone know Core made it. Nita looks nervous, and Hibiki reassures her, don't worry, there are only 2 days left before the war ends. She smiles and thanks him. Core watches them, and it seems like he knows Nita's anxiety. We see Yamato playing chess in his room when Core enters. Yamato asks why Core has come. Core replies, the 6th monster, Mizar, will be here soon. Are you still determined to defeat it in your strange way? Yamato responds, you mean summoning log? Core replies, no, I mean your sacrifice. Nita. Yamato says, you've become strange. You've started caring about the people around you. Core responds, even if that feeling is strange, it's how I feel. And this situation will upset others, like Hibiki. He's completely different from you. He'll never accept the death of his friends. We see Nita sitting, reading her family's last messages, feeling deeply sad. 2 members of the Gibbs force enter and inform her that the operation has begun. In the operations room, the 6th monster is reported to have appeared in Tokyo. Hibiki can't find Nita and asks Daichi where she is, but they don't know. Kano describes the monster's power. It is an absolute clone, and once it appears, it continuously replicates itself forever. Everyone is shocked and doesn't know how to defeat it. Yamato tells them not to lose hope, as the monster's attacks are easy to predict and a plan is in place that won't change. Everyone is confused and asks, what plan? Hibiki gets angry and demands, where have you taken Nita? Yamato replies, shut up and watch. Fumi talks to them from the display screen, telling Yamato that preparations are complete. She reveals that Nita is hooked up to a device and tells her, you're the perfect vessel for log. Die to save everyone. Hibiki is furious and demands, so Nita is just a sacrifice in your plan? Hinako asks, she'll be fine, just like the rest of us, right? Kano responds, we will hand her body over to the monster to control, so nothing is guaranteed. Everyone gets angry at their plan. They call out to Nita to stop the process. Hibiki asks Yamato to stop the plan immediately and let him carry it out in Nita's place. Yamato refuses, saying Hibiki isn't suitable for the task. Hibiki says, then we'll find another way. Yamato replies, if we don't carry out the plan, everyone will die. The monster appears in the town, destroying it. Yamato orders the operation to begin and summons Log, activating the device. Nita screams as the monster Log possesses her body and she floats into the sky. At that moment, a new death video appears for everyone, showing Nita dying. The summoning process succeeds, and Hibiki runs quickly to save Nita. We see Nita suffering greatly, and the readings show she only has 160 minutes before her mind collapses. Daichi runs to argue with Kano, demanding that she stop, but she coldly responds that she knows it's unfair but the plan must continue. Yamato activates the control device and commands Nita and Log to attack the 6th monster. Log attacks, and the dragon Shaku appears. The readings show Nita only has 60 minutes before her mind collapses completely. Yamato orders the dragon to devour everything. The plan is to have the dragon consume the entire 6th monster, including all of its clones, before Nita's mind collapses and she dies. This way, they will defeat it, and the plan proceeds smoothly. Hibiki runs quickly with his tiger to save Nita. The dragon successfully devours the entire 6th monster, completing the mission. But Nita's mind collapses, and she suffers greatly. Hibiki runs to her, trying to wake her up, but she attacks him fiercely. We learn that Nita has been completely taken over by the monster Log. Yamato orders Hibiki to kill Nita's body since she is now Log. Hibiki is heartbroken and cries. Log is furious at Yamato for keeping him locked away in a cell all this time, and quickly charges toward the headquarters. Yamato orders Hibiki to defeat Log. The Gibbs team clashes with Log, and they say they pressured Nita into this, which is why she agreed to what they did to her. Daichi yells at them, "You're worse than monsters. You don't get to decide who lives and who dies. You only care about yourselves." Log reaches the headquarters in Nita's body and destroys all the Gibbs members with ease. Hibiki reappears and tries to stop Nita, begging her to stop. Log says, "You're amazing for having these monsters." Hibiki asks, "You're really not Nita, please bring her back." Log responds, "That's impossible. Nita's soul was consumed by the void. Her body will soon collapse." Hibiki says, "All of this is because you took control of her body, right?" Log replies, "Yes, she chose this herself. Her body will be destroyed soon, and this world must be destroyed as well." Log activates a very powerful attack and launches it at Hibiki, but the tiger defends against it, sending Hibiki flying, and he nearly falls from a great height. At the last moment, Yamato catches him and asks, "Why are you hesitating?" Yamato summons his beast, Ball, and commands it to kill Nita, who is now fully controlled by Log. Hibiki orders his monsters to stop Ball, and they succeed in doing so. Hibiki and Yamato begin to argue. Meanwhile, Log says that humans are always foolish. We see that Nita's body is beginning to collapse, and Log attacks Yamato with all his power to kill him. Hibiki pushes him away and blocks the attack with his magical power. Everyone in the headquarters is shocked to realize that the overwhelming magical power belongs to Hibiki, not Yamato. Hibiki struggles to resist the attack, and we learn that the dragon, Shaku, has chosen Hibiki as its master. Yamato and Core are stunned by Hibiki's development. Yamato says to Hibiki, "It turns out you have superhuman traits. You should lead the world with me," and extends his hand to him. Hibiki pushes him away with his power and replies, "I told you before, I use my power to protect others." In the headquarters, the readings show that Hibiki's magical power is continuously increasing. Kano becomes concerned that Hibiki might not be able to handle all that power and orders them to seal Shaku's power. However, they can't do anything. Log becomes even angrier and decides to attack Hibiki again with an incredible force. Hibiki moves closer to Nita and calls out to her to wake up. Log says, "It doesn't matter how much you try to stop me." Hibiki responds, "Nothing is impossible. I will save Nita no matter what." At that moment, Nita begins to respond to his words, and her consciousness starts to return. Hibiki urges her not to choose death and to come back to them. Nita tells him that this is her fate, and she must do it for everyone to live. Hibiki insists that this will never happen with her death, and he will never accept it. Nita cries and tells him that she's not as strong as the others and asks them to let her go. Hibiki reassures her that this isn't a problem, that they're all weak, and they need to rely on each other. He reminds her that he always survived because she was always there for him. In that moment, Hibiki convinces Nita to live, breaking Log's control over her. Nita cries with joy, and Yamato, the coward, smiles and says, "What's happening here is a miracle." The next day, we see everyone gathered outside the care room, with Hibiki still unconscious, connected to devices to help treat his injuries quickly. Everyone is upset because of Hibiki, and Daichi blames himself for being weak and unable to help. Jungo reassures them, saying, "As long as Hibiki is still alive, he'll be fine." Hibiki is sitting in the room when his two monsters enter. One of them asks, "How long are you going to keep helping humans? They're supposed to be in a trial for their punishment." Core responds, "You're right, but I've grown, and I have the full awareness now that makes me see this as wrong." The monster is upset by Core's words and says, "Looks like I need to do something," pulling out his weapon to attack Core. But Core is far too strong and easily prevents him from moving, slamming him to the ground, telling him that now he has the power to break the chains placed on him by Polaris, the one in charge. Core easily destroys the monster at that moment. The second monster is terrified and asks Core, "What do you think?" Core replies, "You're joking, I'm obviously at your command as usual." He quickly leaves, and Core heads to visit Hibiki in the care room, deciding to return to his homeland and help Hibiki and humanity. The scene shifts to Kano and Fumi, where Fumi presents her a new phone with the latest version of the summoning app. Kano says, "So, it's finally time for the final battle tomorrow." Fumi calmly replies, "You should take some rest as well." Kano thanks her for everything she has done for them, to which Fumi responds, "You're thanking me. I did it because I wanted to, not for any other reason." The next day, everyone wakes up, and Hinako greets everyone, asking about Hibiki's condition. She learns that he hasn't woken up yet. Irai says they must focus on the final battle until Hibiki wakes up. They all agree that they must finish everything before he wakes up, as he's already done enough for everyone. Irai searches for a stronger monster than Lorirai, her strongest, but she finds nothing. The same happens with Hinako and Daichi. Hinako explains that the power largely depends on the user rather than the monster itself. Irai cheers up, saying she'll protect them with her amazing monster. At that moment, Jungo arrives with the sweets Irai loves, and they find out Nita helped him prepare them. They distribute the sweets, and everyone loves the taste. Irai tells them that Jungo used to work at a restaurant, and they all realize they don't know much about each other's lives. They introduce themselves. Irai is a high school student, Jungo is an amateur cook, Hinako is a Japanese dancer, Nita and Daichi are high school students preparing for university. Everyone is happy, and Nita cries from joy. At that moment, the Deadly Face video appears, shocking everyone when they realize that they will all die in the video. An alarm sounds, signaling the appearance of the last monster. The monster has destroyed the Sapporo area with a single attack, completely obliterating it, and the void has consumed it. The command center informs them that this monster is the last and the strongest, considered the leader of all the monsters. The monster continues to destroy the area, moving on to the western part of Japan. The group arrives at the command room, and Kano encourages the Gibbs soldiers, telling them they must win the final battle today. She asks her friends to help them win, even if they dislike it. Daichi is scared and almost says that the Deadly Face showed them all dying, but Irai encourages them, saying they'll defeat the monster and the Deadly Face, no matter what. Yamato orders them to attack and destroy the enemy at all costs. Hinako responds that they'll do it, not because he ordered them but because it's their choice. Jungo asks Yamato, "What will you do?" Yamato replies that he'll face the monster with them, of course. The scene shifts to Hibiki's childhood, where we learn he was always alone, and other kids used to bully him because he was diligent and always kept to himself. Daichi was his only friend and always helped him. Over time, they became close friends, and Hibiki also helped Daichi with his studies. This continued until Hibiki grew up, and he had no one close to him except Daichi. We return to the present, where Hibiki wakes up in the care room. We see the last monster rampaging across the country, continuing to destroy entire cities effortlessly and erasing all signs of life. Yamato and the others arrive to face the monster and confront it with all their strength. Yamato holds the monster back, and everyone begins attacking with all their might. Even the lion monster ball faces the beast, but there is no progress. Nita also uses Log's power, and they finally manage to bring the monster down to the ground. It seems like they're about to defeat it, but the monster suddenly uses a strange power, making all their monsters disappear, and no one understands what's happening. However, Fumi, watching from a distance, says it's good that she had a backup plan. She summons her own monster, which creates waves opposite to the monsters, successfully controlling the enemy's frequencies. At that moment, a new death video appears for Fumi. Kano quickly warns her, but the monster fires a powerful blast, destroying her monster in seconds. Fumi, shockingly, surrenders to death, not even trying to escape the attack, and accepts her fate. At that moment, all the friends are powerless without their monsters. The beast attacks them, but Yamato uses his magical shield and resists with all his might. He attacks the monster with all his power, and the monster chases everyone, aiming to kill them. Kano, Daichi, and Nita manage to dodge the attacks but are eventually cornered as well. Hibiki saves them at the last moment with his Firebird. Hibiki attacks part of the monster, defeating it. He asks his friends about the others but sadly learns that they've died. Hibiki is shocked and enters a state of rage. He attacks the monster and yells at Yamato, saying, "You're a coward. You abandoned everyone for your own life. You have no conscience." Yamato replies, "I told you from the beginning that the weak don't deserve mercy." Hibiki and Yamato continue to resist with all their might, but their shields are eventually destroyed, and it seems like they're about to die. At that moment, a giant monster appears and kills the last monster with a single attack. Everyone is shocked to learn that this giant monster is Daichi's, the weakest member of the team now possessing the strongest monster in the world. Daichi's monster continues to attack the last monster, finally defeating it. With the battle over, Yamato says that they have finally survived and humanity has won. Hibiki tells him he's wrong and that he won't let him meet Polaris. Yamato responds that the only solution is for Hibiki to kill him, and if not, he should stay silent, or he'll kill him. At that moment, Kor arrives and tells Yamato, "I won't let you kill Hibiki." Yamato responds, "What are you doing here? The trial is over, there's no reason for you to stay. Core replies, you're right, you succeeded in Polaris's trial. Now I can move on my own will. Yamato is surprised and says, your will. You're a machine. Core answers, the will that appeared in me isn't because of Polaris. It's a strange feeling, but I've decided to kill you and leave the decision about the future to Hibiki. Yamato responds, no problem. I'm ready to fight. The battle between Yamato and Core begins fiercely. Hibiki remains worried, thinking about the right decision he should make. Everyone understands the battle is over, but it's time to meet Polaris. Hibiki insists on making the right decision and stopping Yamato, but he loses consciousness from exhaustion and fatigue. The fight continues fiercely between Yamato and Core. Yamato is struggling, and the battle goes on for a long time. Core tells Yamato, your power increases the closer you get to the tower. But don't worry, I'll kill you right here. Yamato replies, then you'll leave the decision about humanity's future to Hibiki. Core answers, yes, that's exactly what I want. Since I met him, I've changed a lot. I felt for the first time that I'm not a machine. Yamato responds, you're malfunctioning, nothing more. Core replies, and you've started caring about Hibiki, haven't you? Looks like you've malfunctioned too. Yamato answers, Hibiki is just a tool in my plan. Nothing has changed for me. Core says, you're very much like Polaris. Yamato responds, stop thinking and relax. You're just a machine. If you do your part, I'll let you come with me to the future I'll create. Core replies, your vision of the world is completely unacceptable to me and will never make me happy. A new death video for Yamato appears. Hibiki sees the video and insists on stopping their fight. They are shocked when Kano decides to help Yamato, saying how much she believes in him. She apologizes for all the trouble she caused and rushes to help Yamato in the fight, but they all see a new death video for Kano. Back to the fight between Core and Yamato. Yamato summons his lion monster, but Core destroys it, about to finish Yamato completely. Kano intervenes to block the attack and sacrifices herself, dying in the process. Yamato gets angry, for the first time, about someone's death. He summons another powerful monster, and the battle continues fiercely, now in Yamato's favor. Yamato defeats Core. Core speaks to him again, trying to make him reconsider his dark plan, but it's in vain. Core deceives Yamato, restrains him, apologizes, and finishes him off, killing them both in the process. Unfortunately, Hibiki can't stop them, and he cries bitterly for losing everyone. Filled with rage, he calls out to Polaris, asking, are you satisfied now? Hibiki is shocked to see Yamato still alive and says, why are you upset? The change is just beginning. Suddenly, Yamato destroys the world to restart it. Yamato tells Hibiki that the gateway to the new world is supposed to appear now. Yamato summons his monsters to kill Hibiki, telling him that if he wants to stop him, he must defeat his monsters first. The battle begins between Hibiki and Yamato's monsters, and Daichi and Nita help him fight, telling him to go after Yamato quickly while they handle the situation here. Hibiki initially refuses to leave them alone, but they convince him that he's the only one who can stop Yamato. He rushes after him to Polaris's location. But at that moment, the human world completely disappears, and the void begins to consume Nita and Daichi as well. Hibiki reaches Yamato and tells him that the entire world has disappeared, and now they are the only ones left. Yamato says, now I understand that one of us must finish the other off for the other to meet Polaris. Hibiki replies, don't worry, I'll keep my promise to you, and I'll stop you for sure. He quickly summons their two monsters, and the fierce battle begins between the two. Hibiki thinks about his friends who sacrificed their lives, growing angrier. As the battle continues, Yamato grows tired, and Hibiki's monster defeats Yamato's monster. But Hibiki refuses to kill Yamato. Yamato persists in his stubbornness, summoning two powerful monsters from his collection, merging them together to form an incredibly strong and amazing creature. It attacks Hibiki, but at the last moment, Daichi's monster appears, blocking Yamato's monster's attack. A message appears for Hibiki, informing him that Daichi sent him the monster. Hibiki is shocked to realize that all his friends sent him their strongest monsters before they died. Yamato is stunned, unable to believe what's happening. Hibiki thanks them and promises victory. He summons all their monsters, including his own, and merges them to summon the strongest monster in the universe, Lucifer. He attacks Yamato's monster, severely injuring Yamato. The battle continues fiercely, and Hibiki defeats Yamato. Yamato dies, and Hibiki promises that they will meet again in the new world. At that moment, Polaris appears to Hibiki and grants Hibiki's wish for humanity's future. We then find the world returning to normal, back to the day Hibiki waited for Daichi after the exam. The same events replay, but this time they meet Nita at the train station and become friends. Hibiki cries from joy, happy that everything has returned to normal, and he's at peace with his friends. Everyone is happy, and the world returns to peace once again.